Diddy has been denied bail again, with the judge saying no reasonable assurance of community safety is possible. Now, this is from TMZ, and it was reported on Wednesday at around 2:15 p.m. Pacific time. Diddy is staying behind bars after a judge just ruled his bail is denied because no conditions can assure the safety of the community. In his decision filed Wednesday, the judge in the case wrote there is a serious risk of witness tampering and direct evidence of Combs' violence, pointing to the infamous 2016 video of Diddy beating Cassie and subsequent text messages with her. In the text included in the judge's decision, Cassie wrote to Diddy about her injuries, adding he was sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done. The judge is also citing evidence that Diddy violated rules about communication behind bars, including paying other inmates to use their phone access code numbers to make calls to people not on his approved contact list. As we reported, Diddy was in federal court last week fighting to get out of prison on a $50 million bond after he was charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and other serious offenses. The judge adds there is compelling evidence of Combs' propensity for violence, another reason to keep him locked up. A grand jury handed down an indictment as the music mogul was arrested in September at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan and has been incarcerated ever since. On Friday, Diddy appeared unshackled in a New York courtroom alongside his attorneys to make his appeal to be released on bail for the fourth time. His previous requests for bond were rejected by judges, even though Diddy not only put up his $50 million Miami Beach mansion as collateral, but also offered to be on house arrest with around-the-clock security and no contact with alleged victims or witnesses. Two judges separately concluded Diddy posed a threat to the community if released, and he was also denied bail after one of the judges raised concerns about Diddy obstructing the ongoing federal investigation and interfering with witnesses. Worth noting, the judge does say if Diddy's trial preparations are hindered by his incarceration, then he can renew his bail appeal. Diddy's trial is scheduled for May 5th. Here's the thing, man. I feel like more and more is coming out one way or the other about how Diddy is legitimately a threat, and or the idea that, like, if it wasn't already apparent via the Cassie video, via a lot of the stuff people have said, but all of that obviously has been alleged. You know what doesn't look innocent? Using someone else's phone codes to call people, again, not on your approved witness list. I had heard other reports about some of those calls being to give instructions to intimidate witnesses and stuff like that. If I can find that report, I'll be sure to share that on the next installment. But it's this idea, man, that, like, you are not presenting at least the court of public opinion, like, the appearance of innocence. Like, again, to be doing stuff like that is kind of wild. Now, mind you, I was originally going to do a story about the raid that the feds did on his jail cell last week, because I didn't get a chance to cover all of that. I got some family health stuff going on right now, so I really have been a little more laser focused on work and making sure my family's okay, or the day job, excuse me. This is work. This is fun work for me, but we're not at a place yet where we're making a whole bunch of money, though. I will say I'm very excited to say that I will be doing some membership stuff and some Patreon stuff in the near future. I needed some time to kind of sort all that out, but I'm very excited about that. But coming back to the story, I don't blame the judge for doing this. This man has God knows how many assets one way or the other. The idea of the security, I gotta believe, has gotta be more expensive unless he's gonna pay for it out of his own pocket. I feel like that's gotta be more expensive. There are definitely ways to kind of wiggle out of it, especially if he's under house arrest in his own home. I'm sure he knows his home better than anybody and can figure stuff out. So there's like a lot of things here that just don't make sense for him to necessarily be in that position, not until we really get further down the line on this. Now, I've said this over and over again. If all of this is blown out of proportion and Diddy is truly innocent and stuff like that, then I hope, he gets his freedom and whatever restitution needs to happen, all that. But here's the thing. The feds do not arrest people unless they have an absorbent amount of evidence. There's a reason why their win rate is so high, because they don't like being wrong on stuff. On top of the fact, again, Diddy moving in some shady ways throughout all this, man, as the reports keep coming out about all the conversations with, family members and friends of trying to move stuff around or to intimidate witnesses or things like that. Now, is there a possibility that, again, that some of the civil cases, I've said this before, are being blown out of proportion and people are trying to, cash in on a payday and stuff? Sure, absolutely. Bad people take advantage of situations when, real justice or things are happening all the time. But That does not preclude what we saw in the video. And this, Diddy his lawyers tried to be like, oh, it was doctored. But what they're saying is that if the video was made to look worse than it was, really what it looks like the edits were is they were jump cuts in between. You know what I'm saying? So whether or not he, slapped Cassie in one situation and threw something at her in another, and those were separated by 5 minutes, he still did it like we saw it on the video. Unless they're trying to claim that video was fully faked, that's a nonsense argument. Honestly, it's honestly a nonsense argument that in the same way that if I was watching, this is a weird metaphor, and I'm not trying to actually compare this, but if I was watching the recap of a sporting event or a boxing match or anything else like that, you know what I'm saying? They would show you, quote unquote, the highlights, in this case, the lowlights of what went down in that event. So I don't think anything about, I'm not going to sit there and watch an hour-long video of him doing horrible things to Cassie. Show me specifically what happened so I can get the point, and that's already bad enough, like, to have to witness. But you know what I'm saying? Like, unless they're making claims that that's not him in the video and they have proof of that's a nonsense argument. I say all that to say we have had enough stories from people. We have something like the Cassie video and the text, as the judge mentioned after the fact, to show that at the very least, if he's not some criminal mastermind, he is an aggressive and potentially violent individual. So it makes complete sense as to why this happened. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is going to be interesting because I made it pretty clear that I'm going to continue to report on this as it's coming out and things like that. There have been private investigators going to influencers and to people on social media that have been talking about Diddy and like asking questions and doing it in really creepy ways. So I will say this much: if I disappear, Diddy did do it. I'm going to tell you that much, man. But let me know what you think in the comments, what you think about all this information. Again, I will get more into this story, do other installments of this segment as more unfolds. And again, I'm just reporting the things that I'm seeing on the web, specifically, from, news outlets. TMZ can be a little trashy at times, but they tend to do good reporting. It's just, maybe don't show helicopter crash photos. TMZ, yeah, assholes. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments.